Why is the siege of Jerusalem identical to the siege of Magdala? Many biblical scholars mention the siege of Jerusalem, but never mention the siege of Magdala. Pay attention to the similarities. According to historical scholars, the siege of Jerusalem took place in April 70 CE to August 70 CE.
The siege of Jerusalem was a massive military endeavor, the likes of which had not been seen since the fall of Carthage 2 centuries earlier. Starting in April of 70 AD and lasting nearly 5 months, the battle would be a brutal, no-holds-barred brawl fought over every inch of the city.
The Siege of Magdala campaign started December 1867 to April 1868.
History is not written in stone, and our understanding of what came before is fluid, constantly shifting and providing new insight. Of course, none of us can go back in time and see what really happened, and in the end, we must all rely on historians and experts, without actually seeing and assessing the evidence for ourselves. History is written by the victor, as they say. But what if everything you know is a lie? What if human history, the history of our entire planet, is completely different than what you've been led to believe? How would you ever know? What if people are going their entire lives with a totally warped view of history? This was exactly what Anatoly Timofeyevich Fomenko believed when he proposed a very, very different view of world history. Some of these records are completely lost, while others are the result of inconsistent timekeeping methods, unreliable writers, and a range of other factors. He also believes that pre-Renaissance history was the result of a conspiracy involving the Catholic Church. According to Fomenko, the Vatican wanted to ensure their version of history reigned supreme. Perhaps more crucially, the Church wanted mainstream history to reflect the events depicted in the Bible. There is at least some truth to this, as the Catholic Church has indeed exercised considerable influence over our modern understanding of history, especially when it comes to biblical events. Fomenko points specifically to a French scholar named Joseph Scaliger, who was responsible for piecing together the foundation of our modern historical chronology. Johnson believed that all early Christian history was completely unreliable, having been fabricated in the 2nd and 3rd centuries. So how did Fomenko actually back up his claims? Essentially, he argues that many historical events were duplicated by early writers, who wanted to stretch history further back in time. If they wanted to write about an event that occurred thousands of years ago, they would simply take a more modern event, change the names and a few details, and rewrite that event to create fake early history. Fomenko claims that in some cases, these historical inaccuracies were a result of laziness or record-keeping accidents. But in other cases, these phantom histories were created intentionally to serve the interests of the elite. A trained mathematician, Fomenko set out to prove this theory using statistical correlation. He analyzed a number of historical figures and determined which ones were most similar. After years of study, he began to believe that many of these historical figures were actually the same people. They had remarkably similar names, lived for about the same amount of time, and died in the exact same way.